Senator Bennet.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to you and Senator Crapo, the ranking member, for holding this hearing. Thank you to the witnesses for being here. Really appreciate it. Professor Elliott, your testimony highlights how inequality continues for low-income children, low-wealth children who are actually able to obtain a college degree in this country. Could you discuss the current research showing disparities in economic benefits of a college degree for children from low-income backgrounds versus higher-income families?
Yes, Senator. So bachelor degree, right now, there's a growing body of research. It's not something we started looking at a whole lot until more recently, but bachelor degree holders from low-income families, they earn about 1/3 less than low-income bachelor degree holders earn about one-third less than high-income earners. And so their degree, even though they obtain the college degree, kind of the American dream, they end up not earning as much. Also, black families with a head of household who's a college graduate have about 33% less wealth than white households with no high school degree, that dropped out of high school, right? And so there's this gross wealth inequality when it comes to earning a bachelor degree.
Say that again, Dr. Elliott.
Yep. Yeah, black families with a head of household who graduated from college have about 33% less wealth than white families with a head of household who dropped out of high school, right? So it just really emphasizes.
So you're saying African-American college graduates versus white high school dropouts,
yeah,
in terms of wealth.
And we see the same kind of stats with regard to even college enrollment, between high-achieving black families and low-achieving white families. They're much more likely to go to college than black families. And so there's just this gross inequality happening within our system.
But that gross inequality, though, continues even beyond the college degree, is what you're saying. I mean, there's some people who have said, well, the solution to all this massive income inequality in our country is that everybody needs to get a college degree. The reality in the United States is that, to put it slightly differently than you put it, is it's my understanding that on average, if you are an African-American graduate of college in the United States, you are earning less than a white high school graduate in the United States.
And I will expand that, sir, beyond race. I mean, it's also the case that for white low-income families who graduate from college and they're low income earn less than white, higher income college graduates. And so this is both a race and a non-race issue.
Dr. Elliott, could you talk a little bit about what you think some of the solutions are here to change those trajectories? How do Pell Grants, for example, maybe relate to the conversation that we're having, or other ways to keep people from situations where, in order to try to get ahead, they're digging themselves deeper and deeper and deeper into debt that's making it more difficult for them to be able to get footing underneath them, a generational footing underneath themselves and their families?
I think that's one of the beautiful things kind of about the 401 Kids bill by Senator Casey, right? It really would provide kids with enough money to pay for college. And so that means they don't have to go into debt, right? So we know that students who go to college and end up in debt compared to students who go to college and don't have debt have much worse economic outcomes afterwards. Less wealth, less likely to buy a home, all these kinds of things are happening. And so it's really important. I would actually also quickly mention that the College Board, which is a large institute that does a lot of studies on college financing, recommended that we take a portion of the Pell Grant and put it into an account early on. So as we think about how to finance it, doesn't have to be new monies, right? We could think about how we're using some existing monies to finance some of these things. And that's the one way to tie in the Pell Grant to children's savings accounts and 401k.
I think that's a really good point. I mean, we've seen, I used to be a school superintendent of the Denver Public Schools. We have seen, unfortunately, this Department of Education, I think, do a horrible job with the FAFSA at a moment when kids are actually in the middle of applying to school. The idea that we could change the incentives to bring them earlier in their lives and in their schooling makes a lot of sense to me. And I'll just close, Mr. Chairman, I know I'm out of time, by saying thank you again to panelists. I do think Senator Casey is onto something here. This bill is so important. We're living in a country now where students are burdened by levels of debt that no other generation has been burdened by, and it's not their fault. It's not their, they have, all they're trying to do is get themselves an education that this economy seems to demand, and they're then constrained by 20 years or 40 years worth of debt repayment. We have to fix this, and Bob Casey has given us a suggestion for how to make things better, and I think that's extremely helpful.
Your years of advocacy for kids, that's a real plus to have you vocally and visibly supportive of this, and we're going to spend a lot of time on these issues. They're enormously important. Senator Whitehouse.
Thank you.